Okay, so let's start with a blank screen and let's talk about extruders. Extruder number 1, extruder number 2, and extruder number 3. Okay, so the first one, this one, is the standard default Ender 5 extruder. This one is so-called dual gear extruder, and this one is Titan geared extruder. So let's have a look at each of them. I'll move them away. So this is the standard extruder that comes with Ender printer, Creality Ender 5 in this case, and it's aluminium base. You can see here's the gear, and as the idler you have a grooved bearing here. There's a lever that lets you move the filament if, for example, you're changing the filament, and when the motor is working, this grooved gear is pushing filament, and with the tension of this spring you can adjust how hard the filament is pushed through this idler to the this grooved hopped gear. So this is the easy thing, it's the simple one. It's a direct drive extruder because, as you can see, this gear is directly in the shaft of the stepper motor, and as a result you have a limited torque because it's the torque of the stepper itself, plus it's a bit asymmetrical, as from one side you have these grooved gear, on the other side you have this bearing that can actually slip, right? So the movement forward, right over there, is coming from just one side. Okay, so that's the original one. Then the second one that I've actually installed is the Titan one, and it won't be that easy because it's a bit disassembled here, because normally you have a cover here that is black so you can't see a thing, but I will try to remove this tensioning spring and this arm. Yeah, so you can see that here we have a gear on the shaft of the stepper, and then a large gear on this axle here that is 1, 2, 3. So it's 1, 2, 3 gear, and then on this gear, on this same shaft, is the actual grooved part that is pushing the filament. So beside, and when it goes over here, right, it's exactly the same thing. Maybe you can see it here. So it's basically the same mechanism that you have seen in the stock one, right? If I put this tension spring here, yeah, the same mechanism, but you have the gear, right? So you have like a gearbox, and it moves slower, 3 times slower than this one. However, the torque is roughly 3 times more. Still, the torque is applied from one side, so it is possible that actually this extruder will grind the filament if, for example, the heater is not providing enough heat, right? So this thing will grind the filament instead of actually pushing it. So I was using it for quite some time, and I needed more torque because I was printing things fast. So that was the aim of the replacement. And now I'm going to switch to this gentleman over here, which is very similar to the first one. However, it is called dual gear because, as you can probably see, Let's try to show it to you. Let me grab a pencil. Okay. You should be able to see here that here you have your hobbit groove to push filament, but down there you see gears that lock with this gear over here and another hobbit groove over here. So what happens is effectively the filament is pushed from both sides. So you can see this is symmetrical, right? Here and here. So when the motor is moving, let me try to do it by hand. It might not be that easy. Yeah, it's moving with some stiffness of the motor itself, right? You see, both are moving. So the gears down there are causing that these both grooves are moving up and down. So in this case, the torque applied to the filament is symmetrical. So that's why I'm going to replace the old one. In the printer, I actually have a different instance of this extruder because this had some failure. Something is broken here and just glued, so it was working until the replacement came. So now we'll be switching to this. One extra thing that is interesting here is the coupling for the Bowden tube, and this one is similar to what you can see in Prusa printers, because in those two cases you have the classic connector, push fit connector that is used in pneumatics, which is not designed to be handling the constant movement of filament back and forth when you do the retractions. So there, you probably can't see that, but there are small teeth down there. Maybe in this one they will be visible. Not really, but I assure you that there are teeth inside. And in this case, you have very simple thing. So let me, oh, it's unscrewing in the wrong place. Let me, I need to apply some force. Yeah, so basically what we have here is on the tube itself, you have this small ring, and it's a cone on both sides. It gets here, and it needs to, okay. And then when you screw the thing, this two-sided cone is actually shrinking on the tube, squeezing it, and making it absolutely stiff. So that's the absolutely best option to connect your Bowden to your extruder. Okay, so that's it regarding extruders, and I will shoot a video when I'm installing this guy on the left.